Hi, my name is Cheryl Roth, and I'm sitting here with Miss Kelly Vargo for the interview. Hello, Kelly.
Hi, Cheryl. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good.
So I was reading a lot about you and your experience, and it seems you have a very extensive background in exercise and health. Can you tell me a little bit about your credentials and how you got there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think kind of backing up from a small age, I've always been kind of intrigued by the benefits of health, wellness, and exercise. My parents were both in the medical field and had us being the oldest kids involved in sports since we were very little, and just saw how it was a pivotal point in our upbringing. And so then when I went on to college, I went to Wake Forest for undergrad and started out as a chemistry, I was majoring in chemistry and switched that to a minor when I realized they had a health and exercise science program, and I became completely fascinated. We had a human growth anatomy lab and biomechanics, the exercise physiology, and all of these courses that really kind of explored the science behind exercise, and to me that was fascinating. And one of the things that kind of resonated with me is one of my professors there, Dr. Marsh, said, you know, a lot of the training you guys are getting now, like physicians don't even get, that exercise is so beneficial to the body and to our health overall, and to me that like just resonated with me and it stuck. And so I ended up majoring in health and exercise science at Wake Forest. And then I realized like I wanted to do more with it. So I came across the program at George Washington University, which was a master's in strength and conditioning. And so I moved to DC and completed that. And then I was like, no, I still want to learn more. So because that was very science-based, which is great. And I think for me, the biggest thing is taking science and applying it, right? And so I think, you know, people can understand facts and how things work, but the reality of it is that's great, but we need to get people to move. We need to get people to like embrace those behaviors. And so I worked with a great mentor, Dr. Laura DiPietro at GW, and you know, she recommended, what if you pursue public health, which is kind of a larger scale approach to health. And within that, I specialized in communication and marketing. And so my whole goal, I think, is to bridge that gap between science and application through communication. And kind of get that message out. So that's kind of, I guess, like the formalized degree process that I've kind of gone through. But in terms of certifications, I'm certified through the International Society of Sports Nutrition. Again, nutrition being a huge piece, I think, in health behavior and health promotion. I'm also certified through the American Council on Exercise as a health coach. And again, that kind of applies more of the psychology behind behavior change. And then also through NSCA, the National Strength and Conditioning Association, as a certified strength and conditioning specialist. So I try to tackle the nutrition, the strength and conditioning, and the behavior piece all together, and hopefully being able to help make some change happen.
Okay, great. So what does your current profession entail? What are your professional responsibilities as of right now?
Currently, so I am part-time faculty at the Milken Institute School of Public Health at George Washington University in our exercise and nutrition science department. So I teach some undergrad classes there. I'm also an advisor and practicum coordinator for our public health online program. So I do a lot of administrative and policy changes for the administrative side of the program. And then in addition to that, I contribute regularly to the American Council on Exercise, their blog, and I do some work with them up on the Hill when they have events out here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm kind of, I like to do a little bit of everything. I like to teach, I like to get some admin work, I like to, you know, continue to blog and stuff for my own personal website, and then, yeah, get some writing in there, so.
Okay, oh, very nice. Do you have a specific approach or philosophy to coaching?
For me, I think a lot of it goes back to the mind and the psychology behind things. You know, like I said before, you learn all this science, and a lot of people know. They know what they need to do, in the sense that they should exercise, you know, according to the guidelines, and that they should eat fruits and vegetables and get in lean proteins and, you know, curb their sweets and alcohol intake and whatnot. But the reality is there's a breakdown between what we know and what we do. And I think a lot of that comes internally from the mindset. And so I think for me, when I'm working with individuals on you know, various levels, whether they're athletes, whether they're you know, an older population, or just the average person trying to lose some weight, I think it's kind of finding that intrinsic motivation as to why, and then what's going to help them adhere to their plan.
Okay. Is there a specific sports psychology technique, such as goal setting or visualization, that you have found successful in your profession to use with clients or with yourself?
For I think for both, but with working with people, definitely goal setting, and I think again tapping into that intrinsic motivation. I think a great example of this is that I had a dear friend that I was helping coach. She wanted to complete a 5K. She's in her late 50s, and she mentioned this at the beginning of the year this year, and her husband pulled me off to the side and was like, "Kelly, she's been saying this for 6 years and she's never done it." And I was like so disheartened because I'm like, of course she can do it. But, knowing that, and so, she had this goal and we talked about it and said, what are some tangible ways that we can make this happen? And so it was as simple as like finding a couch to 5K plan that she could do that fit into her schedule. So it was 3 days a week. And for her, it wasn't even to run it, it was just to finish one. And so the cool thing was she had this plan, and every morning she trained 3 days a week. She would send a text message to me, and she would screenshot the treadmill and say, this is what I did, this is what I did. And so it was really cool because from January to April, not only did she finish her first 5K, but now she's made it a goal to do one every month, and she has been consistent with that. And so I think it was finding out internally what it was going to take and then putting those kind of tangible steps in place to help her get there.
That's great.
But I think again it starts from internally as opposed to externally to getting someone to where they want to be.
Okay. I know there are any psychology or sports psychology techniques that you found unsuccessful or just didn't work for you or other clients?
I don't know if it would be like classified as a specific technique, but I think the one thing that I realized, because I have another client I've been working with, and I still haven't quite figured out the best technique for him, but one thing I know is, so he's a very an intrinsic person that like likes knowledge and wants to know facts. And so I've brought him to our lab, we've done all these tests, he's got all this data that kind of explains like, but that hasn't done the trick. Like the switch hasn't flipped yet for him to truly engage in behavior change. And so I think even though knowledge is great, like we mentioned before, like people know, and that's awesome, but it's still finding that intrinsic thing, and for that one, that's been my challenge. Like I haven't quite found that intrinsic motivation yet for him that's going to flip that switch on behavior change. And so I think knowledge is great and facts are great, but the reality of it is like there's still more that people need to actually get them to engage in that behavior.
Okay. Do you have any advice for people like me or other individuals who are just getting started in this field, looking to work with athletes or sports teams or just health and fitness field in general?
I would say put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to reach out and make connections with people. I think you have to be your own advocate, because the reality is our field is big and small at the same time. Use your resources. So social media is a great way to get your name out there, to connect with people, and be authentic, be you, because people are going to be drawn to your tribe and like what you speak to. And I think the other thing that I think really opened up doors to me was like taking advantage of events that are around you or go to events. So like the events like the ISSN, like I've met so many amazing individuals from literally all over the world that had I not like taken a risk and just jumped and went to this conference not really knowing anyone, I think it completely was a game changer. I think any other event, another one that was an event on the Hill that I went to, and I was able to meet some professionals from the American Council on Exercise. And I think, so if you can advocate for yourself in the field and don't be afraid to make connections and put yourself out there, I think great things can happen.
That's very good advice, because I'm not like that at all. So I don't like networking.
We're going to work on that.